Welcome to You Are Not Alone. This is a safe place to explore all things spiritual and beyond. I am spiritual medium Erika Gabriel. Hello, friends. How are you today? Welcome to my show, You Are Not Alone. So I just looked, and this is my 112th episode, 112. 112. It was so funny. I was talking to my sister about that, and I said to her, gosh, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you're not paying attention. Right. And it's not that I don't put a lot into the podcast, but I just have kept going and just kept enjoying it and just kept creating and kept doing the podcast. I mean, I had no idea I had 112 episodes. And as you guys know, I take breaks. Sometimes I'll take a 3-month break. And just looking back on this podcast, it's been 5 years. 5 years. And I think about, a show I want to do or a person I want to have on. And I think, didn't I already do that show? And I'm like scrolling through, didn't I already talk about that? And I'm like, no, I haven't. Like, there's still so much. There's still so much to talk about and so much to share and to just, let spirit come through and talk. I know I tell sometimes the same stories. I definitely am aware of that. But it's so interesting how like a spiritual story can apply to different components of being a spiritual being, right? So like one story, you can reflect on one thing. One story, it can reveal something about another component that you're talking about. So I know I have stories over and over, and it's interesting because in my courses, I repeat things as well. So like during the 5-week course that I'm running right now, there are things that are repetitive in those teachings, but it's because when you hear something, you process it on one level, and then you hear it again and you process it on one level, and then you hear it again and you process it on another level. I had someone call me and tell me they took that course, I guess when it ran, which was 3 years ago. And she said she's still having experiences with what she's learned from that course today, 3 years later. And the experiences have grown and changed. So that's kind of how spirituality works. As you grow and change, as your soul processes information, um, things start to shift. You start to align with things in a different way. It happens to me all the time. Every single time I listen to Michael Beckwith, I'm like, oh. I start to hear different things. And I started listening to him when I was 21 years old, 21, 22. Isn't that interesting? So, thank you for continuing to listen to the show. You guys, I'm looking at my reviews. I'm like, well, hot damn. Thank you so much. Thank you for reviewing the show. It means a lot because it helps me keep going. And it helps people that come across the show read the review and they're like, okay, this looks decent. You know what I mean? This looks good. So thank you so much. Thank you for the reviews. I've had a lot of people tell me and write me recently, and this just blows me away, that they say your show makes me feel not alone. Makes me feel not alone. That they're going through a spiritual shift or awakening or transformation, or they're in a place where it's a 100% religious area and anything outside of that they can't share with anyone. Or maybe they're having these feelings, but they're scared. And then they listen to the show and they're like, oh, this person is sharing information that's similar to how I'm feeling. So that is really cool. That's why I named the show You Are Not Alone. When I first named it that, I told you there's two things. People are like, you are not alone. Is that like ghosts? Like, you are not alone. There are people watching you. And it's like, or like that Michael Jackson song, You Are Not Alone. Are you sure you want to name your show that? Because I don't like Michael Jackson. And I'm like, no, it has to be the name of the show. Because you have to understand that you have an incredible support system in spirit that loves you, that's with you, that supports you. Your angels, your guides, your spirit animals, your ancestors, your higher self. You have an entire team that is supporting you. So you're not alone and you're never alone. And you're also not alone in wanting to explore spirituality and wanting to expand your consciousness. There's thousands of people that listen to this show that are excited about spiritual exploration, just like you. So that is that. That is that. So thank you guys. Thank you for listening and tuning in. Good. So here's what I want to talk about today. I want to tell you a story. And again, I may have told you guys this before, so bear with me because I'll probably tell it better now. I don't know. So I was listening to an interview. Was it an interview or did I read an article? Bear with me on that. My memory. Oh my God. Is anyone else in their mid 40s and like having weird memory issues? My short term memory, my brain fog. Anyway, so I can't remember where I saw it. It was years ago. And this woman was telling a story about her spiritual path and just searching and seeking. And I think she was in corporate or something. And then she, was like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right to me. And also, no knock against corporate. I know so many people that are in a corporate position and they're so happy. They feel so good, so productive, have great. So I think there's so much negativity around corporate jobs. Like, do you guys ever notice that? It's like I was stuck in this horrible corporate job, corporate, this, that, whatever. But I talk to so many people every week that absolutely love their job, have like bomb ass health insurance, have a 401k, work with really cool people, job security. They're like thrilled. You know what I mean? They have that job. And then on the weekends, they, do other things, whatever. Anyway, but this woman felt very trapped in her corporate job. So she went on a spiritual journey and a spiritual path. And she went to India. And as you do, as many people do, she went to India and she stayed at an ashram with a guru, a teacher, and other people. And she stayed for a long time and she kind of unpacked her ego and she unpacked false beliefs about herself. And she really started to see life, her past, her truth, and she was able to do this. Most people can't go, for a year or whatever to, go live somewhere and not make income and blah blah blah, right? So anyway, she was able to do that. Very fortunate. And if you are able to do that, then get in there and do it. If you're someone right now that's able to explore spiritually, go for it. It's a beautiful thing. And also that's what this podcast is about, that you can explore spiritually without going somewhere for a year. But let's take it one step at a time. So she goes, and then in that time, she humbled herself. When you go to like these spiritual places, it's like they start you out with like cleaning the floors with a toothbrush. You know what I mean? And she was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? But as time went on, she started to see why that was important as well. And that's kind of what the podcast is about. So we'll go back to that. But she also learned meditation, which was extremely challenging for her. And she learned it and she really created this very deep and rich meditation practice where she was able to truly quiet the mind and be present and experience the bliss you can get from feeling that connection to your breath and to spirit and to nothingness, basically. And it was so awesome. And after a year, she left. And, she's had her prayer beads and her loose clothes and was just a totally new person and just experienced this and ate, only vegetarian food and just small amounts and just like really found herself. And she lived in New York and she flies back home and is ready to kind of, live her life. And she's like, I am a changed person. I'm totally different than I was. And she lands in JFK, which is the airport in New York City, if you guys don't know. She lands and she gets her bags and she's like, yes, she's all like juicy from being in India, just that like deliciousness, And she walks out and is like, okay, this is great. And she goes outside to hail a cab. This was a while ago, so there was no Uber. And she, goes to get in the cab and someone ran in front of her, was like, sorry, lady, I'm in a rush, and like threw their stuff in and jumped in her cab. And she was like, yo, what the fuck? You're such an asshole. That's my cat, And she just went off on the guy and just dropped her bag and went, oh, shit. And also, oh, wow. I can be in the most peaceful,
environment with other people praying and meditating and in this completely removed setting. And here I am in New York, not an hour later, and all of that comes out. Fuck, cursing and whatever, or not even cursing, but like being like aggressive towards someone and not able to breathe in that moment and take everything she's done and apply it to that moment. And in that moment, she realized that that is where the real work is, to be able to utilize the spiritual lessons in her actual life, in her real life. And I think that's a great story. And it is so incredibly relevant to us. I don't have to say it again, but you guys know I sit really intimately with a lot of people every year, right? We sit staring into each other's eyes as I am, with their permission, delving into them on a soul level with their guides, right? It's not me doing it, but it's really being present to able to channel my guides who are connecting with that person's guides, who are literally doing like a soul dissection and bringing out messages to truly honor their soul that will actually serve them moving forward. So I sit really intimately with people every day, almost. I do take days off year after year, and I've sat with thousands of people. And this is a huge, huge thing that comes up in readings. Here's what it looks like. I am a spiritual seeker. I feel so good when I'm in my yoga class, or I felt so good when I used to journal and have a morning routine, or I used to feel so good when I was in a meditation practice, or I feel so good when I'm on a spiritual retreat, or I feel so good when I'm, you know, in my doing my spirituality stuff, right? That's what they say, my spirituality stuff. And I feel so good there. But I'm in a job I hate and I'm so busy in life and like I'm just two completely different people. Or they're like, I live in a town where I cannot speak of these things. I will be considered crazy. And I know that sounds weird to a lot of you, maybe not all of you, because I know a lot of you, but because we're like on this spiritual journey, we're all spiritual seekers. And like maybe a lot of you have a spiritual community, maybe some of you don't, but like this podcast and the things we talk about and these subjects, this is, we think it's mainstream, but it's still not, you guys. It's still not. I still have people ask me, like, oh, can you read my mind? What is my grandma saying to you right now? And I'm like, what? Like, that's not really what I do. And that's okay. That's totally okay. I don't get mad. I'm just like, can you call me at my office instead of like at this cocktail party? Because that's like an entire like world that I would have to explain to you, which is okay. But like, I don't want to do that right now. I'm off unless I have a glass of wine in my hand. I actually can't drink wine anymore. Sorry to I digress, but like it gives me a heart attack in the middle of the night. My heart races. I can't like process the sugar. But anyway, so basically, is there this understanding, or one of the things that will help on your spiritual journey is understanding that you're not this spiritual person only when you do these spiritual practices and then you're this completely different person. You are one in the same. When you go to a spiritual center and go live in a spiritual center, they start you out scrubbing the floors. Okay, why do they do that? Because they're mean and abusive and it's a cult? No, a lot of them are not at all, right? It's because if you can sit and clean a floor really well and sit with yourself in that practice, then you can move on to doing something else. If you're doing things like, ugh, I hate this, I wish I was writing in my journal and like at a yoga class and when I meditate, I feel so good, right? you might be stuck there for a while. I talked about this very thing with Marianne Williamson. Go back and listen to that episode. You're going to be stuck there if you can't find a way to bring in some grounded energy into those tasks. It's going to be hard to move on or move up. If you're in a job and you're like, I freaking hate this job, I don't want to do it anymore, I'm not going to put my all into it because it sucks, you're probably not going to get promoted. And guess what? You're probably not going to have the confidence to then go out and find a different job because you're sucking at this job that you don't even think is worthy of you. Spiritual practice can be in making dinner, in cleaning the floor. It's easy to feel peaceful when you're doing, quote, spiritual things only. But the idea is, can I bring in that spiritual place into what I'm doing every day? Can I bring both pieces of her or him together? And when you do that, you become more empowered in who you are. If you're in a town where you feel uncomfortable, bring spirit in for you, not to share it with others at that time. First of all, people may surprise you, but having confidence in your own spiritual self and the fact that you're on a journey and that you can utilize some of that knowledge into your daily life, that will shine and change. And people will be like, wow, like, what are you doing? And you're like, well, I'm seeking spiritually, connecting with God. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, cool. That sounds nice and yummy. Talk to me about that. So anyway, it is about bringing both sides of yourself together, synergizing it. And it's really, really simple, but it's not easy. I'm practicing it right now. Where was I yesterday? Hold on. This is the thing with my memory. Where was I? Oh, I was at Staples. And I was in a really big rush. And I had to send these papers out. And I had to get to my office for a meeting and was in a really, really big rush. And the person was moving wicked slow. And every time a coworker came, the person who was helping me, and every time a coworker came, he started chatting it up with them, like doing my project. And then he'd be like, oh, hey, Tom, did you ever, like talking really slow, ever get to that? What was it? That I think they were like, you know what I mean? Talking to every coworker, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, oh Lord, let's move. And I was like, can I apply? Can I apply this? And I just took some deep breaths, and I said, everything is working out in my favor. Everything is working out perfectly. Just ground down and breathe. Be present. Practice patience, right? And I just took a moment, right? Because then I was going to go to my office and go do some meditation and some clearing. Can I do the meditation in these moments that aren't the perfect scenario for us to be, quote, spiritual? We're not in spirit. We're not in spirit. We chose to come here on earth. And spiritual seeking is amazing. And you are given lessons every single day to practice the spiritual seeking that you're doing. You're given these lessons every single day. I don't like to call them tests because that makes me feel like I'm saying someone is testing you, but we are given these lessons. We're giving these moments to put it into practice. There are ways to synergize all sides. Think of the mind, body, spirit triangle. Think of a triangle: mind, body, spirit. When you're working with spirit, allow it to work with the body, right? So you're going to start to notice body things. Let me give an example. This is just an example. There's many other things, but I notice that I have a lot of heat in the body and I need to sweat, right? You're honoring that. The spirit is helping you. I notice that when I eat certain foods, I don't feel well. I feel sluggish. I notice that I'm eating unconsciously and not honoring my body temple. I notice that I haven't exercised in a while, or I notice I need to stretch or sleep or whatever it may be. Spirit can help actually affect your life. Your spiritual practice can actually affect your life, your real life. Not that spirit isn't real, but you understand. And then working with spirit, letting it assist you in the mind, your mind state. My mind state was very unhealthy when I was waiting for that guy. Literally, I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Can you please hurry up? I'm in such a rush. This is what my mind was doing. I'm not proud of that, but I'm just being honest. Why can't I be less honest on this show? I really tell you guys I literally tell you guys everything. Maybe I don't talk about like my personal life as much. Let me know if you want me to. I'd be happy to. But I did have my husband on the show. That's a good episode if you want to listen. I got to have him on again. He's very hard to book. He's very busy, as we all are. But the point being, that was my mental state. I was so anxious. I was like, oh my God, I have to get there. My mind started projecting forward, literally. I'm going to be late. Then I'm going to have to tell this person that I'm late. And it's like, dude, that's not even happening yet. It's not even happening that you're late. Don't project yourself into lateness chaos. Get yourself in this moment. And my energy shooting daggers at him, do you think that made him go faster? Absolutely. No, it did not. So we can use it. So spirit helped my mental state, mind, body, spirit. Same thing. It works in other ways. Maybe you're feeling spiritually disconnected. So move your body, do things that your body wants to do. Maybe you have stuck energy in the body and it's really, really hard for you to feeling like you're connecting spiritually. So you're starting to move the body temple. That helps shake out the mind a little bit, which helps access the higher realms of spirit. It all works together. It's not spirit in one place, earth stuff in another. If you can start to utilize the spiritual practices that you're doing in your daily life, that's when you're cooking with the gas. That's when you are getting yourself fully empowered. You started spiritual seeking because someone crossed over that you're missing, that rocked you, and you wanted to seek. You're spiritually seeking because, you're having a spiritual awakening. You're spiritually seeking because your religion doesn't resonate with you anymore. You're spiritual seeking because you're getting a call from God. You're spiritual seeking from all of these different ways. That's why you're spiritually seeking. And you're not doing that so you can abandon yourself in your life. You're doing that because you felt there was something missing. There's something more. And I want to find it. And I want to seek. And I want to know more. I want to know more about life. I want to know more about death. So what does it matter if it doesn't actually affect your life? You weren't feeling complete. There's more to life. Maybe you do feel complete and you just enjoy it and enjoy expanding your consciousness. But there was something missing. So you're seeking. So let spirit come in. Let your practices come in. Let your, quote, spiritual side affect your life, affect the mind, affect the body, be a part of you. I think also there's so much self-judgment. It's like, I can't do that because, like, I don't know if I'm doing spirituality right. Or I hear a lot of people say, like, I used to be so spiritual. I did prayer beads and I, meditated and I yogaed and I walked and I did these spiritual retreats. I used to be so spiritual. It's like, well, why did all that happen? Just so you can put that in a box and lock it away? All that happened. So now you can go out and use it. Put it into your life, inject it into your life, and then you own it all. It's all you. It's all your self-empowerment. Your power lies in that synergy. I think people also get really scared. Gosh, if I like go too far with spirituality, apply it to my life, like, are people still going to like me? Is my partner going to think I'm crazy? All of those things. And a lot of people are in that place where it's feeling really overwhelming, and that's okay. Just take your time. You don't have to become a Zen Buddhist monk tomorrow. Listen, I've been doing this for my whole life and I'm Still doing it, right? Staples. Hello. You want a spiritual test? Go to Staples. You want a spiritual test? Go to Target, where you can't get someone to tell you the price of something, right? Application, applying spirit, using mind, body, spirit, all connected, all together, all one, all part of who you are. Your daily life is a spiritual practice. You don't have time to do the things that you think are spiritual, like the meditation, like the yoga, whatever it may be for you. Spiritual practice in your life. Spiritual practice when your kid is yelling at you or something like that. How can I bring spirit into this? Those are the true spiritual tests. Again, I hate the word test, but you feel me. You got me. You're feeling what I'm putting down, right? Think about it. Let your mind process this a little bit. Take that, I used to be so spiritual. It's like, no, 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 no. You are still a spiritual being. You still have learned all those skills. You're just not using them right now because you think it's separate. You think it's somewhere else, but it's not. It's within you. It's right there. Use it. I think the reason why this podcast is coming up right now, this is really a very intense, high level idea of spirituality. And you guys are so ready, and you're so ready to use this to shine and to improve your lives. Truly. That was a good one. People, when I go out and about with my daughter, people always go, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. She's so beautiful." And obviously, as a mom, I think she's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But they go, "Oh my God, she's so beautiful. She has the most beautiful eyes," And I always go, I know, isn't she? And sometimes my mom will be like, if I'm with my mom too, she'll be like, "Erica, like, just say thank you. Like, you shouldn't say that. Like, that could be like taken wrong. You should say like, thank you. Yeah, thank you." And I'm like, I know. I can't help it. It just comes out. So today I'm like, wow, that was a great episode. We learned so much. But I got to feel that way to keep going. I love you guys, truly. Please leave me a comment, hit me a like, share these episodes because it helps me keep going and helps me keep being able to do these. I have such a great platform with Straw Hut Media. They're just, oh God, it's so amazing. And I want to keep working with them. So listening to the podcast, sharing the podcast, commenting on it, rating it, that does everything. I have some cool guests coming up. I've really dug into these solo episodes. That's what's been calling to me. But I have some really cool guests that will be coming up this spring. So stay with me, stick with me, share the episode. I cherish everyone listening to this. Truly, truly. I hope that you go forth with some things to think about after you listen to the episode. I hope that if you take nothing at all away from this, you just take away, you are not alone. More to come. God bless you guys. I'm thinking of you. Take good care and see you next time.